Hi everybody, it's Andrea from Autoimmune Strong. Hi, can you see me? Hang on, I know the video is shaky. Sorry, I'm getting my phone positioned right because the sun is so bright. It's hard to see me. Okay. I think you can see me. Hi. Welcome. I'm Andrea. For those of you who don't know me, I am so excited to be here for today's conversation about self-care and caregiving. And I was inspired by Mother's Day coming up to talk about what life was like for me when I was what I call in the thick of it. When I was really sick and I was undiagnosed and I was really a mess. Let's be honest, I was really a mess. So I was thinking back as I spent the weekend with my kids this weekend. I was thinking about what kind of mom I was when they were little and what kind of mom I am now. And so I wanted to talk about that. Mother's Day is coming up and it's kind of a good time for reflection. But this conversation is not just about moms. This is what I'm going to talk about today is really important for anybody who's in a caregiving role. Because I know a lot of you are caregiving for your elderly parents or for other family members. I know many of you have children who are special needs, or you just have lots of children. So these conversations, and I'm just going to tell my story, but hopefully it'll inspire you to find a way to make a change in your story in the same way that I was able to make a change in mine. So I guess without further ado, we'll get started. For those of you who have watched my Facebook Lives before, I will encourage you to reach out, say hi, type in the comments, tell me your name, where you're from. I love hearing from you. It makes me feel like I'm not just talking out to the universe and that I'm not so alone. So please say hi. If something I'm talking about resonates with you, please talk about that and ask me any questions that you might have. I'm here to chat. So I'll tell you my story, which is that let's see. It was about 7 years ago when my son was born. I have two kids named Eli, who's 10, and Asher, who is 7. He's now 7. And when he was born, I was working in a corporate job. I had a very traditional office job, and it was, during the time of the recession. And so lots of people had been laid off from the company, and those of us who were still there were working hard. We were working longer hours. I was, always answering messages on my BlackBerry at the time. And so I was working really, really, working a lot. I was also working with my dad, so I felt a lot of responsibility to make sure I was doing a good job. And at the same time, I was at home. Hello, Linda Sue. At the same time, I had this adorable 3-year-old at home and another one on the way. And so I was really stressed out about, how to make work and kids a priority, both of them. And anyways, after the birth of my second son, I started feeling symptoms like my limbs were always on fire. I felt like burning sensations all over my body. My hair was falling out like in massive clumps. I was gaining weight instead of losing it. You're supposed to lose weight after you have a baby, but I wasn't. I was going in the opposite direction. I was in incredible pain all throughout my body, and most significantly, I was so exhausted. Like I couldn't stand up for more than 20 minutes without needing to sit back down. I needed a nap all the time. Hi, Jen. Nice to see you. Glad this this story resonates with you. I know as a mom, right? It's hard when we have to balance kids and career and self. These things are hard. So anyways, I was barely hanging on, and I needed a lot of help sometimes, which was available to me and sometimes which wasn't. Things like laundry and dinner and basic like housekeeping kind of went by the wayside, because I would just buy extra like cloth diapers, and we weren't using cloth diapers, but I would use those as rags, like burp rags or spit up rags. Both my kids were big spitters, and I would use them basically to fix anything around the house, because I didn't want to wash. I couldn't deal with the laundry. I couldn't wash extra laundry. I would buy extra underwear so that I didn't have to do everybody's laundry all the time, because that was just a chore that was impossible. Getting to laundry was impossible. And my kids my 3-year-old would say, "Mommy, can you play with me?" He would love to play this game where he would run around the house. Our house had an open floor plan. It's not this house. It was a different house. They would run around, and we called it monster chase, and we would be the monsters and they would run, right? And he'd be like, Mommy, can you play monster chase with me? And I'd say yes, but what I really needed to say was no, because it was so hard. And I mean, this is chasing a 3-year-old around a table. It's not that hard to do that, but it was for me. It was exhausting. Are you in a place where chores and where chores feel like they're just never ending and piling up and making you feel exhausted, and that the people around you are asking you to be involved, to be engaged, and that you find it just to be so hard to be engaged because you're so exhausted? That's the point where I was all I have ever wanted was to hang out with my husband and my toddler and my baby. And I was too sick to enjoy it. My body felt alien. It felt like it had been taken over. I used to be a doer. I used to be someone who could do everything and who could handle anything. And all of a sudden, I wasn't a doer. In fact, I was the opposite of a doer. I was a not doer. And not only was I a not doer, but I was having a really hard time engaging with my family and with the people who love me and with the people I love. They were asking me to show up, and I just couldn't. So I went to a doctor. I started there. I went to a doctor. I went to my primary care, and he was like, well, you just had a baby. Your body's going through a lot of hormonal changes, and, I'm sure things will sort themselves out. So I went home, and I kept doing what I was doing, and nothing was changing. And so I went to it, so I called my primary care and said, can you refer me to a specialist? And so I ended up seeing 8 different specialists. Does anybody know this story? Have you seen a million specialists? I saw over the course of time, I saw 8 specialists. And what would happen is they would come back and say, well, your blood work looks wonky, but you don't have anything. And I'm like, well, but if my blood work looks wonky, doesn't it mean I have something? And they're like, well, we're not really sure what it means. We're just going to watch it. I'm like, great. Well, while you watch it, I'm going to sit here and be in pain. Literally, I was taking naps 3 or 4 times a day. I would put the TV on for my babies, well, not the little one when he was taking a nap, but for the toddler, I'd put the TV on and be like, you just watch the TV for a minute while Mama takes a nap, right? That's no kind of life. Right. I knew you guys would understand it, because I know we're all doing the same thing. I went to all these specialists, and some of them told me to, lose weight. Some of them told me, oh, you just need to exercise. Some of them told me, I don't know, all these different things. And none of it felt like they understood what I was dealing with, and none of that made me feel any better. I still felt like my whole body was on fire. Everything hurt. I was in so much pain. And then, because if you've followed me a little bit, you'll know that like I was someone who really loved to exercise before I got pregnant and had babies. And so like the doctors would say, well, maybe you just need to lose weight and go exercise. So that's what I would do, is I would go to the gym and I would like be like, okay, Andrea, you can do this. You can do this. I know you're tired, but like you can do this. And I'd pump myself up and I'd go and try and do the workouts that I used to do. And that would just make things worse. And then I'd be mad at myself that I went to the gym and I wasted my time and then it didn't work and I felt exhausted, and that just made me feel like I was out of shape and lazy. And so like the negative self-talk was just piling on. It was just one thing after another. And you know, the people around me were lovely, but like, I'm not sure that they really understood either. You know, because the doctors didn't diagnose me with anything. So, you know, my husband didn't really have an explanation for why his wife, who was like a doer, all of a sudden became a not doer, which meant that he was doing more things and like he was stressed out because, or more importantly, like we weren't having fun together anymore. It was just like, we got to get through this day. You know, and that's no way to live, right? That's not my goal in life, to just get through. My goal in life is to like love and enjoy and experience the highs and the lows that life has to give us. And I wasn't doing any of that. I was experiencing just the lows, and my lows were exhausted lows. So that was then. I did go to one rheumatologist who said, I don't know what you have, but I've heard about this thing called gluten-free. So, I mean, this was 7 years ago, so gluten-free wasn't very well known. And she said, I heard about this thing called gluten-free. What if you tried going gluten-free? And I was like, oh, I don't even know that word. Okay. Like, that seems like something I could do. And so I went home and I went to the school of Google, and I Googled gluten-free, and then I started Googling like nutrition, and I started looking at, you know, because I was desperate. Like, let's just be honest here. I was desperate. I was like, I will do anything to not feel like this anymore. And so if it meant changing my entire diet in order to not be that kind of mom anymore, to not be the exhausted mom, but to be the mom who, you know, could get up and do stuff, you know, I was willing to do it. And so I started with going gluten-free. That was my first baby step. And I wasn't gluten-free all the time. But I thought about it. I started thinking about it, and I looked at what I was eating, which was basically, I never even really ate meals because I was basically like preparing for the kids and then like eating whatever sides were left over. You know, it was like I'd make box mac and cheese for them and I'd eat standing up in the kitchen, like whatever was left over. It was all about quick, easy food. I never gave any thought to what it was that I needed. I was literally only giving thought to what they needed, and I was the afterthought. And so a lot of those default foods are gluten foods, right? And so like bagels are easy, and goldfish are easy, and mac and cheese, boxed mac and cheese is easy. I mean, they make it now in gluten-free, but they didn't back, 7 years ago. And then I realized, like, in that moment, when I started looking at my food, I realized I'm not actually thinking about what I need at all. Besides from the debilitating naps, like, that I would think about what I needed, because I would, then by the time I got so exhausted, I had no choice but to lie down and take a nap. That was, like, default. That was my default place. So I started looking at my life and saying, like, I'm not thinking about myself here at all. I'm thinking about my kids, which is great. I mean, that's the role of a mom, right? But we can't sacrifice our own self-care in order to care for the people around us. We can't. It just doesn't work, because by doing that, the kids got a mom who wasn't 100% showing up for them in the way that they really needed. So we all were losing, right? Hi, Nicole. Thank you for writing. I'm glad you're watching, and I'm glad you're recovering, and I'm glad that what I'm talking about is interesting and resonates with you. So if you guys have questions about the things that I'm telling you, please jump in, ask me. I'm here to answer your questions. So I started by doing like one tiny little thing, which was saying, okay, I'm gonna look at how much gluten I'm eating in my life. I'm gonna try and take it out. By the way, for those of you who don't know, I have celiac. So, eliminating gluten was like a really good call. She didn't realize that I was celiac. That diagnosis didn't come for years until later. But she put me on the right path. And, I find that with all autoimmune diseases, going gluten-free is a really good place to start in reducing your inflammation and helping your body to feel better. It's not the whole thing, but it helps a lot. Now, with people with celiac, it's like essential. But I didn't know I had celiac at the time, so I started taking out gluten here. And here and there. And then I started, like, through that process, I started to look at what I was actually eating, which was, I was basically like shoveling food in my mouth, like whenever I could get my hands on it. And so then I started saying to myself, like, well, what should a person eat, right? Vegetables. That's what I'm telling my kids to eat. You should eat your vegetables. So I started eating vegetables. Yeah, so I want to stop and share something that Erin just posted, because I think it's really important. The oxygen mask analogy. So the oxygen mask analogy, if you haven't heard this already, is when you're on an airplane, they tell you, when the oxygen masks pop down, put yours on first and then help the people around you. And that's exactly what I wasn't doing, and that's exactly what I needed to be doing, because I wasn't able to take care of the people around me as well. So once I started putting vegetables back into my diet, starting to look at what I was eating, that sort of steamrolled into me realizing I wasn't really cooking any dinners or doing any food prep because I was just too tired. So then I sat down with my husband and I said, look, I know you're working really long hours, but I'm exhausted. But I think the way I need to get out of this exhaustion is that I need to, start food prepping, but I need you to take the kids so that I can do one thing at a time, right, on a Saturday. So we started, making small changes, having conversations and starting to look like, what is it that I need in order to get out of this hole? And my husband was willing to do it because honestly, all he wanted was like his fun wife back, because there was like this woman that he had married that had disappeared. And so he wanted her back. And so he was willing to help me. That steamrolled into exercise, because once I started feeling better, when I started eating vegetables and started eliminating gluten, and I eventually got to eliminating some sugar and caffeine. And again, this was like before the autoimmune protocol diet really became popular, but I ended up doing something very similar to it. I kind of piecemealed myself into it. And if you don't know what the autoimmune protocol diet is, please ping me and I will send you lots of resources, because it's a really great tool. So once I started feeling better with nutrition, I realized, exercise, because my body still really hurt and my posture was terrible. And I knew that my back pain, I would wake up in the mornings and have this like frozen neck thing where I couldn't turn my head left. Like I could only turn my head to here instead of all the way to here. My husband used to call me Zoolander, because in Zoolander he can't turn left. That's like the whole joke. that used to happen to me all the time. And so I realized, like, I need to, do something about that. And I did. I started. I didn't start by, I started by hiring a personal trainer. Let's just be honest about that. And I hadn't been working, so we really didn't have the money to be hiring a personal trainer, but I was so desperate to fix myself that we were willing to make that sacrifice, for my health. And the personal trainer had no idea what to do with me. Like, in the first week, she was like, let's do burpees. And I was like, I can barely climb stairs without falling down, and you want me to do burpees? And she was like, yeah, we just need to jump right into it. Like, you can do this. And I could not. I couldn't do the burpees. And not only could I not do the burpees, but I would attempt to do the burpees, exhaust myself, and end up back on the couch, or like, it's kind of a weird thing, because I would do the burpees, feel really good, and then like a couple days later, I'd crawl into bed and be like, oh my God, Matt, I can't do anything. I can't get out of bed. This is just, and I'd stay in bed for 2 days. I was a mess. I didn't realize there was a thing called exercise intolerance, which is a thing when you have autoimmune disease. Your body is less capable of tolerating stress, additional stress, and exercise is additional stress, and burpees is like a lot of additional stress. And so my body, it's like a car that overheats. My body just like totally freaked out and shut down, which was me having to go to bed and stay there until it cooled off and was able to come back to life. And in this time, I still wasn't even really diagnosed. Eventually I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's, and eventually I was diagnosed with celiac. Jennifer, to answer your question, I did have to eat gluten in order to get the diagnosis of celiac, but I was willing to do that in order to get the proper diagnosis. If I had to go back and do it again, I'm not sure diagnosis matters. I would have stayed gluten-free anyways. So I'm not sure if I would go back and make that decision again, but that's what I did. So I guess what I wanted to tell you about when I'm telling you my story is this. I know that now, if you're in the thick of it, like I was in the thick of it, what it really is for me is that I made one choice, or like my eyes opened to one thing. The gluten led me, it opened this door into like all sorts of different awarenesses about my body. So I didn't even go 100% gluten-free for like the first year. But by starting to think about it and say, oh, I'm not feeling so good today. I probably shouldn't have eaten that pasta. So the next time pasta was presented to me, I would say, you know what? I'm not going to eat that. I don't think that's going to make me feel very good. And that small choice led me to kind of rethink my entire lifestyle, right? It's not like I all of a sudden pulled off the Band-Aid and completely overhauled my diet and completely overhauled my exercise. It took years to tiptoe into a healing place. The good news for you guys now is that there are so many more resources out there for you than there were for me. So I had to figure a lot of this out on my own, which actually turned out to be really good for you, because that's how I figured out the exercise series of Autoimmune Strong, which I'll get to in a minute. But there's a lot of, research on nutrition and on exercise. The exercise stuff, I'm sort of pulling all of that together for you guys right here and now. But we're doing it. We're all doing it together. And so you don't have to feel so lost the way that I felt. Like I felt like I was an absolute crazy person and nobody understood what I was going through. And I couldn't talk to anybody about it. There were no Facebook groups talking about it, or at least none that I could find. None of my friends knew what I was going through or could relate. And frankly, a lot of them left my side when I stopped being able to go to a million events because I said I couldn't leave my house. Like taking a shower and getting dressed to go out for girls' night was too much. Never mind even going out for girls' night. Like I couldn't do it. And eventually my friends got tired of asking me to go out and having me say no. So it was a really sad and lonely time period in my life. And I felt like my husband, you know, he was trying to understand. He loved me and still loves me, but like he, you know, he was also like living it with me because whatever I wasn't doing, he was taking the load on, and he was, you know, and that's hard. Anyways, like it's hard for people to understand. And so I'm so grateful that there's a community now. And I'm so excited for you guys that there's a community to go to where you can talk about these experiences and you can, you know, attend Facebook Lives like this and you can, you know, hear other people talk about how they kind of found their path to health. And that's why I'm really excited about the Autoimmune Strong community, because there's a private Facebook group that is just so lovely and encouraging and supportive. And we talk mostly about exercise because that's what we're doing. But we talk about nutrition. We talk about how to deal with like losing friends and husband drama and things like that too. It's a nice community of people who are all, you know, trying to take these same baby steps to be able to change your life. So to go back to that baby step concept, the thing about the baby step is that one choice led to another choice, which led to another choice. And eventually all of those teeny tiny little choices that I made led me to a couple of things. One is that it led me to the awareness that I didn't want to go back to my old job, but that what I wanted to do was to go back to school and to learn about nutrition and most importantly fitness, so that I could design my own fitness program that would work for my body. Because as I was telling you, like the personal trainer had no idea. And then I was Googling, I couldn't find anybody who was an expert in autoimmune and fitness. Nobody knew, still like there's Autoimmune Strong is pretty much the only one out there. There might be a handful of others, but I'm the only one that's really trying to bring this to light. And it's really important because these concepts such as exercise intolerance and exercise-induced symptom flare-ups, these are things that doctors don't even know about. So I'm trying to make you aware of them so that you can educate yourself and then make your own smart decisions about what your body needs. So when I went back to school, I learned about fitness in general, and then I basically took those fitness protocols and figured out how to apply them for my own body. Because when I went to school, I went to personal training school, and most of the kids that were there, I call them kids because I was 35 and they were 18, and they all like didn't know what it felt like to feel pain, which is good for them, but you know, they couldn't relate to what I was going through, and so I would have to take everything that we were learning and then apply it to my own body and say, okay, I can't do that. And that's going to send me into bed for days again. So how can I take that exercise and make it work for me instead of, you know, making it hurt me? So I worked on that for 2 years. And that is what you now see in Autoimmune Strong. I did it for myself. I designed it to specifically get my strength back because I wanted to be able to get back to the gym. I wanted to be able to have the energy and the excitement for my life that I had lost during that time. I wanted to be able to live my best life. I mean, honestly, if we're being honest, I wanted to go to the grocery store and not have any issues. Like I wanted to be able to pump gas and not have it hurt my back. I wanted to be able to climb the stairs holding my laundry and not feel like I was gonna topple over. I wanted to be able to play Monster Chase with my kids, and I wanted to be able to swing them on the swing set, and I wanted to be able to cook dinners. I mean, I wasn't asking for a lot. I was asking for a normal life, which I think we all deserve. And that's what I have now. And that's what I want for you, is I want you to be able to show up and do all these things, because we're here to talk about caretaking, and I've been talking about my kids a lot, but like, as I said earlier, I know a lot of you are caretaking for other people that you love as well. If you do not take care of yourself, you cannot participate in these everyday things with energy and excitement. And if you don't have energy and excitement, all your chores, including your caretaking chores, are going to feel like a drain. So we have options, right? We can either let it take us down, or we can do the hard work to be able to maintain that energy and excitement so that we don't let it take us down. And when I say hard work, I'm not saying that you need to go to the gym for an hour every day. I'm saying you need to show up for your body for 15 minutes or less a day. That's all it takes. It's not that long. And frankly, the work isn't that hard. It's not like it's 15 minutes of high intensity interval training. Like, no, we're not doing that. What we are doing is taking that concept of baby steps and we're applying it to fitness. We're saying that if you can do this one exercise for like 5 minutes a day or 5 minutes 2 days a week, over time, your body will change. And then that's going to start feeling easy. And then you're going to be like, well, what else can I do? In that same way where I started looking at the gluten and saying, okay, well, if I've started making that change, well, maybe I should start looking at how many vegetables I eat. And then, maybe this coffee isn't making me feel good. And all of a sudden I had like tiptoed myself into a nutrition program. I'm doing the same thing here with fitness. You don't need to throw yourself into like a huge change. It doesn't have to be like that. 5 minutes a day, 5 minutes every other day, 1 minute every 2 days. I don't know. All it matters is that you show up, you do something, take a rest, show up again. Consistency is the key. And that is the philosophy of Autoimmune Strong. So all this stuff that I learned during that period of time, all that stuff is in the Autoimmune Strong program. And I swear to you, if you take a few minutes for yourself every day, you will find that you are more able to participate in your life, that you're a better caregiver, that you're a better mom. I know I am. Because my husband travels for work and he was away this weekend and I had the kids to myself all weekend and I actually played with them the whole weekend. We had a special weekend. There were years past where it would have been hard for me to get through a whole weekend with the kids and all the chores and everything all on my own. But not anymore. So that's what I want for you. I want you to be able to do those chores, to do the caregiving, and then to enjoy the time you have with the people you love. Because, isn't that what we're here for? To enjoy the time we have with the people we love? All right, so because of that, I'm offering a Mother's Day special. I know it's not Mother's Day, but Mother's Day is this weekend, so I'm going to tell you guys about it now. It's a Mother's Day special. If you sign up for the annual program of Autoimmune Strong, you get $20 off, which breaks it down to just $10 a month. The normal program is $19.99, so it's a huge discount. All you have to do at checkout is enter code Happy Mother's Day, and you will get a discount. So I wanted to do this for you guys because I want you to be able to practice self-care on your Mother's Day. That's what I'm going to do for myself, because I'm going to hang out with my family and they're going to do whatever it is they like to do for me. But they know I'm going to need to get my workout in first, because these are the things that I prioritize for myself so that I can show up and be there for my family. So I'm challenging you. What can you do for yourself today? Pick one tiny little change that you can do today that might help you to show up better for your family. Do it with me, because it's not easy. That's why we have to do it together. Anyways, that's what we're doing here at Autoimmune Strong. I want you to do it with me. I'll tell you. You want to know my change today? My kids baked a cake over the weekend. I'm sitting here with an apple. There are decisions that we need to make. We have to say yes to the things that make us feel good. We need to say no to the things that don't. So do it with me. It's hard. Let's support each other. The way we can support each other is being here together on Facebook. You can email me at andrea@getautoimmunestrong.com. Tell me your stories. If you message me, I will always message you back. And I love to hear your stories. 'Cause frankly, I get tired of telling my own sometimes. So tell me yours. It makes me feel a lot better to know that I'm not alone out there too. And if you want to know how to sign up for Autoimmune Strong and use that awesome discount, go to www.getautoimmunestrong.com and sign up. Offer is good through next Monday. So you have some time to think about it and make it happen. Oh, and there's a 7-day trial. So you're not locked in. When you sign up using that coupon, you get to see the entire Autoimmune Strong program for 7 full days and decide if it's right for you. If you cancel within the first 7 days, no charge. Swear to you. I love that you are all here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I am here on Facebook Lives every Monday at noon Eastern. So come back next week. I'll be here. I'd love to chat with you.